anytime you get the Stampeders and Eskimos playing each other, it's always going to be an interesting game. Labor Day adds all sorts of other dynamics. Plus the fact that the Stampeders are coming off a very lopsided win over the Eskimos the last time they played. Now, under normal circumstances, you could say, well, maybe we're going to take that team lightly, or maybe you could accuse the Stampeders of saying that maybe they'll take the Eskimos lightly. But the fact is, it's Labor Day. The fact is, the Eskimos are coming off their biggest win of the season over Saskatchewan last weekend. So all these things kind of combine, and you have to assume that the Stampeders will be very fired up to play on Monday.
If you asked me after the BC game, I would have said that this would have been a week focusing on the inconsistencies of Henry Burris. It turned out to be something different, but let's talk about Henry. Where's his head at coming into this game? Very solid, and you know what? You know, people do fixate on a lot of the stuff that Henry does poorly, and he'll be the first to tell you that 2 of those interceptions at Vancouver last week were his fault. He just underthrew Kenyon Rambo twice, and end of story. And on the third pick, I thought Dante Marsh, the Lions DB, made a terrific interception. So. But take those 3 plays away, and you'd say it was just an absolutely terrific game from Henry Burris. He was making plays with his feet. He was making plays with his arm. He was just calling a very smart game out there, navigating a very smart game, and making plays that a lot of quarterbacks in this league can't make. And you know what? He generated 48 points of offense. So take those 3 plays out of it, and nobody's talking about Henry Burris's inconsistencies. And yet that is the curse that Henry Burris has to bear, is people tend to look on the downside of him for whatever reason. And you know, he's 2 yards away right now from taking over number 10 on the not the Stampeders but the league's all-time passing yardage list, and that says a lot about him. He's been healthy. He's been good over all those years. You follow this team. How big a distraction was the Jesse Newman issue? Not as big as it was made out to be in some quarters. I don't think it was an interesting dynamic when he came to town on Sunday. But you know what? He was the first to say that he expects to get some guff in the locker room, and so nothing that's happened since then has come as any surprise. He knew he was facing that just based on the fact that he retired before training camp, and then came back to a team that's 7-1 with the best record in the CFL. Of course, he knows what to expect. So nothing really has happened that's been a surprise, and it hasn't caused any problems within the locker room whatsoever. That's a focused football team, and you know, that's one of the elements of being 7-1 is you tend to put blinders on to some of that stuff. So how will it all play out? I mean, the Stampeders have another week or so to decide what to do with Jesse Newman. Certainly he's available in a trade. Whether or not the Stampeders go that route is yet to be determined, but they have options, and you know what? That's a lot better situation than a lot of other teams in the CFL have right now in terms of Canadian offensive linemen. Knowing how other teams are stacked, do you think you trade Newman? Well, there's a bunch of different ways to look at that. I mean, they have a terrific depth of Canadian offensive linemen. They don't need him right now, to be blunt. He's been a great player for 2 years here, but they got great players right now. They've got depth, and they've got guys in the system as well. So all those things kind of combine that they're dealing from a position of strength. Okay, let's focus on Monday, though. Guys like John Cornish are having a great season. Yeah, you know what? John Cornish has just been terrific this year. I mean, he's coming off back-to-back games in which he had 70 yards or more in rushing. He's the only running back in the league right now that's got 3 carries of 50 yards or more this season right now. Won the Canadian Player of the Week again, justifiably so. And you know, that 1-2 punch that they've been talking about for a couple years now, combining with Joffrey Reynolds in the backfield, is finally coming to fruition, and it's great to see. I mean, Joffrey Reynolds is Joffrey Reynolds. You know what you're getting from him, but the fact that John Cornish can come in every 3rd or 4th series or so and do the things he's doing is just a real good thing from the Stampeders' perspective, and again, points to their depth. Another player to watch, Kenyon Rambo? Well, coming off a 9-catch performance in BC, and more notable, I guess, in that game is the 3 tackles he made too on the interceptions. That's probably he was leading the team in tackles at halftime, which is an interesting thing. But you know, if there was any doubt that Kenyon Rambo could come back from that knee injury, I think it's entirely been dispelled now, and that's good to see. I mean, he put in a ton of hard work to get to this stage, and it's being rewarded. And the Stampeders are integrating more and more into the game plan. And you know, he
was one of the best players on the field in Vancouver.
We always talk about the players, but there's a coach you want to focus on this week.
Yeah, you know, Chris Jones, I can't say enough good things about the job he's done with this defense. By far the best defense in the CFL right now. And, you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't understand why the guy's not a head coach in this league right now. He's obviously one of the great defensive minds in the game, but what's not known is the work he does behind the scenes here with the Stampeders in terms of getting players here. He's very involved in the player personnel department, has contacts all over North America. So, you know, if there's anybody that's best suited right now to make the jump from assistant coach to head coach in this league, it's clearly Chris Jones right now.
Monday's matchup. The last time these two teams met, it was quite a blowout. This is not the same Edmonton team?
Well, it's hard to say. They might have, you know, they left everything out in the field, obviously, in that game against Saskatchewan. Whether or not they can do that 2 games in a row, I got my doubts. I really do. You know, there's still issues up there all over the field and off the field as well. So, you know, I'll be surprised if it's not a 2-touchdown plus margin again on Monday like it was last time these teams played.